Okay, this video is going to be on cleaning up this nasty old chisel. It's got some chips, it's got some rust. It's been sharpened before on my Tormek, um, but it's in bad need now. I'm going to have to change out my resin diamond wheels because my machine has a belt on it, and you can sharpen this on the belt, but it adds diameter to the wheel a little bit, and I'm going to do this since it's my first time using the chisel jig. I'm going to go to 2 resin wheels. So this is how it works. Um, some of my wheels are the original ones, and they don't have a keyway on it. This is a little jig tool that you drop on and then drill into one of these holes. There's 3 holes in case you screw 2 of them up. You'll need a washer depending on the size. There's different size washers. And then a key pin goes in. That key pin sticks into the arbor on the machine. And on this side, this is my belt side, and I'm going to be changing this out to my 100 grit resin wheel. You can see the screw that holds it in. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, once you take your belt off, you just need to use an Allen key. And this isn't really that tight. It's not jammed on there. And you see I've got these washers with different thicknesses. They just help the spacing out. Different wheels have different spacings. You can change that. There's also a tiny set Allen down in the middle of this that you can use as a kind of a jam nut, but it's not necessary, I find. Okay, so this wheel, it's got a soft neoprene rubber outer band, and it has a special purpose, but I'll talk to you about that in a different video. This one's about the chisels. I've got a few different size washers just to fit different wheels. It's surprising how many different thicknesses the center hub of these wheels have when you have more than one. Okay, so on the coarse wheel, I use a spray bottle to wet it. It just works best. This microfiber cloth I use on the fine wheels, and the fine wheels don't chew it up as much as the coarse wheels do. The clip just keeps it in place. This is what it looks like when it's installed. Sometimes you have to put a little something underneath it. I end up putting, I got a big fat washer that's not very thick that I slip underneath it. It makes it just the right height. Okay, so this is the speed control, and there's a gauge on it that you can't read in the camera, but it is showing 3,800 RPM. Now, because of the gearing, it's actually 1/4 that, so it's 950 RPM. This is the soft soft restart that I was talking about. It's really nice. Now again, I set this up to about 3,800 RPM on the meter. It's not really going 3,800 RPM. It's going 950. This is what I use. Now if you're used to Tormeks, this would be horrifying. But it works, and it doesn't throw water at you with this way of watering it. So here I just got a bottle with some holes in it, and I get this rag soaked. Once it's completely saturated, it wets the wheel and it just maintains it. You kind of have to freshen it up once in a while. Okay, now here's the tool rest. I keep it in this position it started in just as to keep me out of those wheels with my apron. But I'm going to slide these into 60. Now, why did I pick 60? It was just a lucky guess. It turns out it was pretty damn close. I've never used this tool rest with the jig, Uh, I just got lucky. Sometimes it works out. So you just place it, you give it a snug. You might have to adjust it. Both these wheels are pretty much the same diameter. And that's it. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm not really set up to do this in my trailer. I should have pre-soaked my stones, but I'm going to get the rust off the back of this. Now, if you've got a chisel that's never been properly sharpened, you need to flatten the back, at least up at the front edge. There's mill marks on the back of these chisels, and if you don't remove them, they telegraph to the apex. Okay, well, you're going to see the Scotch-Brite wheel clean this up pretty good. So I've got it clamped in. You align this edge against the jig. That's real important to confirm that. This side just clamps down to squeeze both sides. You put it through the two guide holes and you're good to go. But you do need to confirm that everything's squared up. I'm going to take a Sharpie. I'm going to make some marks on it. You don't have to cover the whole thing. And I'm going to, I want the wheel to grind dead gnats through the center of the bevel. That'll tell me I'm in the right spot. I don't want to be forward of it, or I'm going to have too blunt of an angle, or too back and it'll be too sharp. That grind's going pretty good space, but it's off on one side. So that means I'm either off kilter in the jig, or the last time I did it, I was off kilter. So I need to confirm that, and I'm just going to go a little more and decide what it looks like. Okay, so I found something I can use. And I'm going to lay this. I'm checking to see if my idea is going to work. Lay the straight edge right on what looks like it's a trued up edge, and then confirm that the chisel is aligned. We tried this way to make sure. And that looks pretty good. So it was off kilter the previous. So now let's just have at it, get rid of the chips, and we'll go with it. Now, if I wanted to, if I didn't have this 100 grit resin wheel, I had one of the other wheels, I could put a belt on this. I could put a 80 grit belt, orange blaze, and I could have cut through this pretty darn quick. But I wanted to see just how long it was going to take me with this 100 grit resin wheel. Also, if I put a belt on it, it does get just a little bit bigger diameter, and you have to factor that in. But the way this jig tool rest runs, you can have one side a little bit different than the other. And that's a huge help with this. Now, you'd think I'd be wearing down this stone. I could do this for 3 years on this stone, and it may still stay the same size. These resin wheels really have longevity. I mean, I've used this 100 grit one a lot before I started using the belt. Just like the 1000 grit on the other side. I use that a ton, and it has not changed size. In a minute, I'm going to get smarter about this water bottle position. I'm kind of struggling with the camera being over my shoulder, and it kind of gets in the way, but I'm actually able to take my water bottle and hang it on the tool rest, and it's more convenient. You notice how there's no bog on this machine. It is holding the RPM. That's because of that 1.5 horsepower motor. It is so good. It really changed the performance of this machine. I think I'm going to hang my water bottle on this tool rest when I'm sharpening knives too. And I'm just checking to see if I'm getting that that chip out. I think I'm just a couple passes away. You notice the other side stays wet. It doesn't take any babysitting. That's really the benefit of the smooth wheels. But this coarse wheel, it just does too much damage to the cloth, and then eventually it grabs it and throws it at you from underneath the wheel. So you get this wet cloth slap you in the leg. Okay, so I'm moving over to this side. And I would suspect it's going to take a minor adjustment to get the alignment perfect. And yeah, I'm just going to adjust it. I think I'm adjusting it like 1/3 of a millimeter. It's hardly any. Been a little bit too far. It's just, it needs the tiniest movement. Okay, after I do that, I just go to my regular deburring wheel, and I'm moving the camera over for you. This wheel stopping and starting is just an illusion with the camera. There you go. That is hair popping sharp. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what do I do if my chisel is one of these really short chisels that I can't get it clamped into the jig and have it rub the wheels? Well, let me show you that. Okay, this is what started this video, doing chisels. These are skiving knives. They're for leather working. They need to be razor sharp, and the owner of these has been cheating on his sharpening. He rolled the edge a little bit. You know, you lift the handle a little bit and you can get an edge quicker, but after you do that a few times, you've got to true it up. You can see the marks where he has flattened the backs. He did a good job with that. So he's got me truing all these up. Now the belt and the soft wheel was mounted up, and I'm just going to use that. I'm using my tool rest. The increments they're both set to 100. That's where I keep the tool rest to keep my apron from snagging up in the belts. This is a 100 grit belt, and a 1000 grit resin wheel over on the right. I'm positioning this and I'm feeling how that handle touches the tool rest. Now I could adjust that tool rest, but I'm confident I can feel it and keep going back to the exact same spot. So this is how you do it. I'm grinding away. You just have to make sure you're pushing. You got first off the alignment. You look down the side of the knife and down the side of the wheel. Then, depending where my thumb is, determines how much pressure is on one side or the other, so that I grind it all very equal. And you just touch it and make sure you're getting it right. I'm feeling where my hand is going back onto the tool rest. And eventually I get that lined up and I go until I get a burr. Okay, I edited some out, but I think I've got a burr now. I'm going to go to the other side. I noticed my microfiber cloth is dried out. I'm going to re-wet it. It'll stay wet for about 15-20 minutes once I get it wet enough. If you get it too wet, it'll spray it just a little bit till it stops. Having to reposition it a little bit. Okay, I'm matching the grip with my left hand and I'm just guiding over that finer wheel. This wheel always goes a lot faster. You put all your time on the coarse wheel to get rid of the problems. This side you're just getting rid of the grind marks. These resin wheels are pretty effective. I'm only adding more water because that rag wasn't completely soaked. It moved the water I put it in around. Once I get this grounded the way I like it, I'll just go back to my buffing wheel and clean it off. That's pretty much it. As far as the angle goes, I'm matching what he was using, and it was about 17 degrees. So that's what I'm going with. Okay, don't forget, if you feel like you need to do a little touch up and you'd rather use whetstones, you could do that. Just for that little finishing touch, line the bevel and go at it. Any way that you get it done that you're happy with is the way to do it. Okay, so I had my best tester out. I figured, what the hell? Let's test it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna get. Freehanding is not as good as using jigs when it comes to chisels, in my opinion. Nice and slow, nice and slow. 85. I thought I'd get a lower number than that a little bit. Maybe I'll have to work on it a little more. Before we go, if you've seen any of my videos on the Tradesman Edge, you've probably seen the focusing laser jig that I use for sharpening knives. For anybody who's purchasing a Tradesman Edge with the two wheels, I am providing the focusing laser free of charge. Just contact me first before purchasing. Thank you.